Hey guys, this is my top 10 centers in the NBA. Now, this is just my opinion, and I'm giving you who I think is the best centers in today's NBA. So let's get started. Now, first of all, before I give you my top 10, obviously there's going to be some good players that's going to be left off the list. So here are some honorable mentions that I have that did not make it, but they're still really good centers. First of all, I want to start off with Kendrick Perkins. I really like Kendrick. He's a great center, for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Great defender, great team defender, pretty good rebounder. Not that fast, but he's a pretty good player. But he just didn't make my top 10. DeAndre Jordan. Actually, I want to talk about him for a second. I think he's going to be a really good player. He actually might crack my top 10 just because of Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and Chauncey Billups are going to give him a lot of different options to get open as far as Blake Griffin getting double teamed, Chris Paul creating havoc in the lanes, and Chauncey Billups, his ability to penetrate and shoot and everything else. So DJ is going to get a lot of alley-oops. He's going to get a lot of highlight plays. But he's just not a guy you can just throw the ball into and he's just going to score on his own. I mean, he's the only player in the NBA that with at least 500 points that did not score outside the paint. So, he doesn't look to create his own shot. He's just a guy that gets a lot of highlights. He runs the floor. Nobody runs the floor from basket to basket better than DeAndre Jordan. Also, JaVale McGee. I really like him too. He's a young guy, but he's not a top center yet. He's athletic. He's long. One of the best dunkers we have in this league today, but he's just not a guy that you can just throw the ball into. He's kind of weak defensively, kind of a little bit immature, but I like him. Al Horford. Now, Al Horford is probably better than a lot of players that are on my top 10, but the reason why I didn't put him on there because to me he's just not a true center. He's kind of in between a power forward and a center. He's not a true center. He's 6'10", and he's kind of forced to play center just because of the Atlanta Hawks roster. But he's doing a great job at the position. He is a great up and coming player, but he just is not big enough. It is not a true center for me. Number 10, I have Roy Hibbert, 7'2", 260-pound center from the Indiana Pacers. His strengths to me, he's his size. I mean, this guy is huge, man. He's got a long wingspan. He's tall. He's a pretty good rebounder. He's got a pretty good touch around the basket. You're not just going to throw him the ball, all game long. He's going to score 30 for you. He's not that type of player, but he can, take some guys on the block one-on-one. He's definitely improved on his post moves. He's a hard worker in the off season in practice, and you could tell he's a hustler in the game. He really hustles a lot. Some of his weaknesses to me, obviously his speed, his stamina. He's sometimes foul trouble. He gets tired pretty easy. Like I said, he's foul prone. He's not he's not the quickest guy in the world. He's not that athletic, but he's definitely a top center to me. And I look forward to see what he does this year with the Indiana Pacers because this guy's a hard worker and he's a top talent at the center position in our league today. At number 9, I have Chris Kaman from the New Orleans Hornets, just traded there from the LA Clippers. 7 feet, 265 pounds. Now, a lot of people may not know who this guy is. I actually had him higher on my list last year, but with some injuries and things like that, he's dropped down. But he's definitely a top center in the league to me. His strengths are he's very big and active. He's more athletic than what he looks. He's not the quickest guy in the world. That's one of his weaknesses. But his strengths to me is his free throw shooting, man. He is an excellent free throw shooter for the center position. Also, the way he scores. If you didn't see him shoot a free throw or shoot a jumper, you swear this guy was left-handed. I mean, he's got those little left-hand hooks and those little left-hand layups and things like that down to perfection. He can shoot with either hand in the lane. He actually shoots more with his left hand with those little baby hooks and those little push shots he has in the lane. But he's definitely a guy you can throw it down to and he can score. Now, his stamina, one of his weaknesses, his stamina gets tired pretty quick. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but I definitely think Chris Kaman is going to have a pretty good year alongside Emeka Okafor because Emeka is going to move over to the power forward because Chris Kaman is one of the true centers and one of the true talents we have in our league today. At number 8, I have Marc Gasol, 7'1", 265-pound center from the Memphis Grizzlies. This is another guy I really like, man. His numbers aren't gaudy or anything like that, but this guy is huge. He's a big guy too. He's a little brother of Paul Gasol, for those of you that don't know. I'm sure you do. To me, his strengths are he's a very good rebounder. He's a hustler. He works real hard. He's real mentally tough, man. This guy, you're not going to push this dude around, literally or figuratively. I like him because he's a team player. He's a team player. You know, he does whatever it takes for his team to win. He's got a lot of energy. To me, he's just like I say, he's a big body. He's got a pretty good touch around the rim too. He's got a face-up game, and he's got a back-to-the-basket game. It's not the strongest back to the basket, but he's so big he can push people around in that post. He's got a pretty good mid-range shot too, you know. But some of his weaknesses to me, he's a little bit foul prone. He's not the best defender in the world. You know, he can come over and block some shots every once in a while, but he's not a great team defender. But he's pretty good. He's not the quickest guy. He gets tired a little bit too quick. But I definitely think Marc Gasol has stepped out of the shadow of his older brother Paul Gasol, and he's making his own name down there in Memphis. I mean, what they did against the San Antonio Spurs was incredible. That was a historic series, and Marc Gasol was a big reason, and that's why, for me, he's on my top 10 list, and he's definitely one of the top talents at the center position that we have in this league today. At number 7, I have Joakim Noah, 6'11", 230-pound center from the Chicago Bulls. This is another guy I really love. I love watching Joakim Noah play. Now, you know, a lot of people might wonder why I have him so high or so low on this list. It depends on who you ask or who you talk to, because he didn't perform well against the Miami Heat. I'll admit that. But I love him, man. He's the ultimate team player, and that's his biggest asset or his biggest strength to me. Another strength he has, obviously, is energy. I mean, you've seen him in Florida. You know, he's a back-to-back national champion in Florida. Then he came into the league, and a lot of people had doubts about if he could play center. A lot of people thought he was an undersized center or a power forward that didn't have the skills to play power forward. Even I doubted him to be a true center, but now he made me a believer last season. He's bulked up a bit. You know, this guy, he's an ultimate competitor. He won't let anybody push him around. He's got an excellent basketball IQ. He's a pretty good athlete, not the best athlete in the world, but he's pretty quick. He can run the floor. He can block shots, change shots. A great rebounder, great team defender, great individual defender. High energy. I think to me he's one of the top 3 defenders at the center position, whether it's individually or team defender. He's not a bad passer out of the post. You know, he's not going to get a lot of double teams, but he gets a lot of garbage buckets and things like that. You're not going to be able to throw him the ball and him score on his own. He doesn't have an inside game. He needs to develop that. His jump shot obviously is a little bit unorthodox. He needs to work on that too. You know how his shooting form is terrible. Not good from the free throw line. You know, but other than that, he's a great center. He's a little bit foul prone sometimes. Not a scorer, but his job and his role, I don't think anybody plays his role better than Joakim Noah. Him and Tyson Chandler are a lot the same, but Joakim Noah is definitely a high energy center, and that's why I have him on my top 10 list, because this guy is one of the best talents we have in our league today at the center position. At number 6, I have Nene, the one-name man. 6'11", 265-pound center from the Denver Nuggets. Now, this is another guy I really like. Now, he's a little bit undersized as far as his height, but he's definitely not undersized in his heart or his weight or the way he plays. This guy is a beast, man. You talking about a physical presence. This is a guy you don't want to fool around with. He's one of the tougher guys we have in our league today. His strengths, to me, he's a really good athlete for his size. He's actually a lot quicker than he looks. He has some huge hands, man. This guy's got some big mitts. But one of his best strengths to me is his shooting percentage. This guy is shooting over 60% on a consistent basis, high 50s, low 60s. He takes very good shots, man. He's got a pretty good face-up game, back to the basket. He can run the floor well. His back to the basket game is pretty good. He's actually a pretty good dribbler, too, for his size. Very strong, like I said. His frame, his body is really big. He works hard. He plays with a lot of energy. He's a guy that you don't want to mess with, man. I'm telling you that right now. When he goes up for a rebound or a dunk, you need to just get out of his way, because you might get your wrist broke or your forearm broke or something. Not the greatest defender in the world. Pretty good defender. His free throw percentage wasn't that good when he first came into the league, but he's worked on that. He's gotten that up a lot better. He's a lot better free throw shooter. His weaknesses to me is he commits too many fouls. He's foul prone. Even though he's a decent rebounder, he can definitely be a better rebounder for a center to me. But when he goes up with strength and he goes up with a purpose when everything he does. So, and that's why he gets into foul trouble, just because he plays with so much energy. He's so big and strong, and this guy does not play any games. And that's why he's one of my top 10 centers, and that's why the Denver Nuggets gave him that big contract, and he was so highly touted. And this is why I have him as one of our best centers in our league today.